Yeah, I don't think.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Misty Worley. I'm the library coordinator for Bismarck Public Schools.
I am Leslie Allen. I'm the library coordinator for Williston Public Schools.
And we're just here to talk to you about the computer science and cybersecurity standards that were just approved like a month ago.
A month ago?
Maybe a month ago. So we're going to kind of go through just kind of the overview of them, do a little gallery walk of these new standards, and then we'll do a little bit of reflection. On your table you should have, and you can share because I'm not sure we have enough copies, but the big thick one is the cybersecurity and computer science standards, and then there is also the current library technology standards as well. So there are both of those things. Oh, perfect. So we can pass out some other ones when we get to that work.
Okay, so, oh goodness, last summer, we started hearing buzz about putting this together a group. There was an email sent out if you'd like to be a part of this group to create the new computer and cybersecurity standards for North Dakota, respond kind of a thing. And being librarians, we all know that our standards are library and technology standards. So this really piqued my interest of what's going on. And so I put in a request to be a part of this team for writing it because I was going to have a library voice in there. And in fact, in my email, I said, even if you don't choose me, please have a librarian on this because, you know, this is important. And so I show up and lo and behold, there were several librarians that had signed up.
Yeah, the librarian was strong.
Yes, definitely. Amy Soma, who's the coordinator from Fargo, had also signed up. And so your three school coordinators in the state all were on this team. And so that's why I wanted to get a part of it. The process was really interesting. We met 3 times. There were selections from computer science teachers in high school to librarians to classroom teachers to and I think even we had some higher ed people that were teachers in there too. And so it was a really great mix of people coming together to write these standards. And there was a lot of conversation among the librarians too about where does this lead us to in the future as far as what are standards. And we started finding, well, we used the current library and technology standards as a base to look at to start creating these. So once you get into these, you're going to see a lot of similarities between what we already do and what this is. I learned something new about the CIA triangle that is a big deal with our techie people. And it has the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Those are the 3 things that you should always be looking at when you're talking about technology standards. They're those important backbone pieces.
For cybersecurity.
Yeah, for cybersecurity. And so that was something new that I wasn't aware of. And you'll find it throughout the new standards. You'll see maybe a CIA. I think
or
I remember how they,
yeah, you'll see
CySec
in parentheses 2, and those will indicate that it's a cybersecurity standard and that it would fall into one of these CIA components.
Yeah.
That word cybersecurity scares a lot of people. Like when you think cybersecurity and computer science standards, you think that it's going to be something super fancy and technical that the layman person wouldn't understand. But these standards were developed for all students. These are not specialized standards for just kids that you think are going into the field. These are standards that we think all kids need these days to be successful in the future. And so cybersecurity is password protection. It's knowing, when to give your personal information, all of those things that we're already teaching. It just kind of falls under the cybersecurity umbrella now. So don't be scared by those words.
Exactly.
Sorry,
I love it. You go ahead, go for it. So we broke things down into 5 different sections and then put subheadings underneath those. We fit in what we could with the library technology standards that are current for North Dakota, but we also looked at other states. We looked at ISAIL, for those of you who are familiar with that set of standards. We looked at ISTE and the new technology standards that they have going on. By the way, ISTE has a new librarian section too. If you haven't been on their website and looked lately, it's pretty cool. We took all of that and started to craft what we thought was going to be the best for our North Dakota students. And I'm pretty proud of what we came out with. I think it's really great. But it also is a conversation starter, which is something we want to do with you today, about where does library go? Because we don't want to transition from a librarian to a tech teacher. That's not what we are. But library has become a place where you do teach technology and you do talk about digital citizenship. And so it's walking that fine line and having that conversation, because then in the next couple of years, of course, we want to update our library standards to reflect our current atmosphere too.
I'm going to go on a little tangent here for
Please
a minute,
do.
because when I think about the role that some of these standards or the role that technology plays in the library field, I was recently at a conference and listening to Scott McLeod, and he was talking about literacy and, you know, like library. We've been the cheerleaders for literacy for the dawn of time, and how literacy, right, in order to be a literate person, you need to be able to both read and write, so you consume and you produce. And so when we think about digital literacy, which he was really advocating for slowly abolishing digital literacy, and that it's all just literacy. But in order to be digitally literate, you need to be able to consume and produce. So you need to be able to read and evaluate, to know what's true, what's not true, but you also need to be able to produce. And so that's where we get into our logging, responding, creation sort of things. And so to be digitally literate, you're producing and consuming both in print and digitally to be a literate person. And so that really helped me kind of frame up what is our job and what isn't our job in my mind when we're just talking in the realm of literacy.
And I have a little tidbit also about my technology director was at the ISTE Leadership this past winter and was in a conference where the person presenting said that your librarian is technology's best friend, because that partnership should be so strong in the schools. And ever since then, he's been really kind to me and giving me money and stuff. So you know, it's really wonderful that there are people out there shouting that out, that it's not tech teachers only, that it's a partnership between librarians and technology that needs to happen. So we're really excited about these, and I hope that you will be after this too.
So the five sections of the cybersecurity and computer science standards, one is digital citizenship, one is technology systems. That one I think is algorithms, and that would be sort of your coding strand. There's computing in society, and then information literacy also made an appearance in these cybersecurity standards too. So you'll get a chance to look at those 5 sections here in a moment. Yes. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I think we'll just...
Are there any questions just about the development or...
the process of it all, and if you were taking a look, I think there was an email sent out across the state when they were in the rough draft form that you could have looked at them and commented and provided feedback, and there were some great feedback pieces that were given to us. So our third meeting was just sort of wrapping that up and then doing some formatting. So.
And I think it is important to note, too, that we are the first state to have these K-12 cybersecurity and computer science standards. So we've actually I've been contacted by several news agencies. Newsweek, or Education Week just did a story about them. So we are sort of a big deal when it comes to these standards. So, yay, North Dakota! So this is what we're going to do for our gallery walk. So you'll notice there's 5 areas, so you'll want to divide into 5 groups. You'll see that you have these little sticky dots on your table. So what I would like you to do is we'll rotate you about every 5 minutes. So these are quick overviews, quick gallery walk conversations. You're going to put a green dot next to the standards that you're like, already doing that. It's already covered in the library technology standards, and you can reference those that are on your table as well. Add a yellow dot if you're like, that'd be easy to add in. I see what our role is in there. And then add a red dot next to that standard if you're like, not applicable to libraries. That standard wouldn't fit in with what we do. Does that make sense? So you're going to add your sticky notes, and then you're going to have a little discussion in your group. What did you like? What are you wondering about with those standards? And then there is a Padlet where you can add some ideas. Did you want to talk more about that? Where you can add some ideas about some lessons that you will have. That we might not get to that in this first 5 minutes, but that is sort of the next step.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to grab
And that's
a
something
shot of that.
we can, at the very end, we can talk about too, and I'll show a little bit. So.
When you rotate, the next group may already have greens and yellows and reds on there. You go ahead and just add your own. So we're going to look for some patterns. These are areas that most of us feel like are green. They're where we belong. These are some areas, there's some reds in here. These are kind of an in-between area. So feel free to just keep adding.
And if you disagree, if you see green and you're like, whoa, that's a red for me, put the red on there. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. That's what this discussion is going to be about today.
Questions about the process? All right.
Alrighty.
So
3, 2, 1.
you're good. When you look at the side, you'll see the numbers. It'll be like K.HS, which will be, this one is hardware and software. That first letter will tell you the grade level that standard is for. So kindergarten first, these are second, third, fourth, fifth. So when you look down the posters, that first number in that standard identification will tell you the grade level that is appropriate for. So you also can look at the scaffolding of the standards as well.
Oh, Miss Jordan, these are so cute.
Okay, just the standard, or she wants to go all the way across, do you know?
All right, 5 minutes is starting
Like each
now.
of us put our own up?
I know that's
We just do those.
The hall is hot.
But is it something that you teach as, and I think even like saying, oh, we're getting strong.
I love their shoes.
right. You're right.
I just joined one
I know for everybody to do
Have you seen this?
Well,
yeah, and this is actually the grade level, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these would be your older kids.
Did you get a copy of this?
I really want you to give her their table.
Oh, here, I'll give you another.
represent complex that.
I have the other one. All, okay. Are all these,
And then the way they write it, they each of like that. I mean, they've got this 3 different ones, but it keeps saying continued growth. Yeah, that's just continued growth. Beginning standards. So this one says continued growth. You know what I mean?
So continue. So K through 1.
So just continued growth from being.
Yeah. So
I think that they got all these also I'm going to do the rest too after we say that I know they have things that kids deal with at school.
About 1 minute remaining on that set.
So do you want to pick her up high school?
I don't know, I moved over here. Clockwise or counterclockwise?
It's kind of a weird area.
I would shift around till I got them all.
Park mandated to be in.
But I kind of go with
I kind of started.
so
Okay, let's go ahead and rotate. So let's rotate up. What is that? Clockwise and clockwise. To your next rotate this way.
It would be like somebody in the lab would be like,
Yeah.
it's not working, and I go and I'd be like, if that's the paper in. I already have kids that I
I didn't use any of my
I would get like
like, okay. Just maybe that's a little bit of friends. Like there's really much. I can cut things out. Like when I hit it to the ceiling, that's gonna get cut. No, God, no. Hey, it's a very long one. Yeah, tell the front desk. I would say, just because I'm recording, so thank you so much. And I wanted to explain to them I would go tell the front desk.
You know what I'm saying? It probably maybe not about whatever they plug in.
A lot of green on this one.
Right. That they only have 2 acres on it. And there's 20, you know, it's like, yeah, it was cool. I don't know what she was doing. And I didn't work, I can't remember what time. But here I am, and it's supposed to be. And then, of course, then when I want to collect them, when I have to bring in the board, and I actually set up, and then when I'm done, I have to take everything down, and they do all their own somebody else is the paint and the so you come.
I bought that, yeah.
This program was really
I know we're stuck with that. Well, you know what?
There's very few reds on this one.
They want me to have library students. I'm lucky if I could 20%.
Excuse me.
Probably not for you, you know. See,
He pulls out his pocket and he pulls it out and he says, well, how far do you go? And I said, can I shoot you the moon? Did he give you anything? Well, I don't know.
The older students, so I'm debating on getting either like a
Because I
dash
said
and
everything that's in that card, as of today, I'm spending. It's going to be gone.
yeah, and you can do a lot more.
Well, and they're all.
The iPad, you have to hold the iPad.
Oh. Like has cotton, like, yeah. Oh, the grant writing workshop.
How many are we supposed to go? You know, middle years or all the way?
Sure, go to the middle, go,
Yeah.
Because the first one's responsible use, the next one is safety and ethics, digital identity, so.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute, you have a lot of cyberbullying, or you like cyberbullying?
Neither.
Okay. I was gonna be like,
We teach, I don't think it's getting taught enough.
yeah.
normally, we didn't drop it.
I got it. That SciTech is just the computer, I can't remember the name, but it's for the security, cyber security. Okay.
Yeah, because they get charged by the processing company.
In fact, I think that's what it is. CY for cyber and then SEC for security. Yeah, okay. Now it makes sense when it's, yeah. But we never heard that. Oh, that's, you might be. So, yeah.
No, I'm running out of yellow. No, there's. Well, but
Oh, I'm like doing green as I go. I'm not actually really teaching. That's the same thing. These are great ideas.
Oh, I should start doing it with my classes.
They charge me for the battery, $50 for,
Really?
yeah.
Do you think that'd be pretty sweet to cover all that stuff?
Arlene, I think I don't know. I think it would be a check for insurance. To me, I would.
But if you don't have pictures and a lot of that
But if you don't have a librarian, yes, so that's what we're supposed to know it all.
Yeah, we have lots of jobs.
Isn't that why you became a
That's
librarian?
right.
No, everything.
I like big head
Probably gets carried over, so either the landlord takes care of it or a tenant does. So I'm guessing, they're charged for their time, which I understand.
Okay, please start rotating to your last spot.
But you can't, with the you have to, just as important as stuff like fuel and everything, it gets to be expensive. It's,
But because of it, all
Now I know.
That's similar.
Yeah. Now I know. Suck it up and try to get up on the
But yeah, even for the simple stuff,
yeah, sure.
anything worth looking for anything, $50 is cheap.
The stuff that I have to do is, I guess it's never been anything like that. They need to replace my refrigerator. And then there's a crack in my kitchen wall. They had plastic paper, but it's just not to where you could protect it. And y'all because here when I was in,
That expense is about $4 to the landlord.
I don't care. Yeah, that one was, I wasn't even out.
Everybody has to log in, and so everything gets one on their Chromebook. Yeah, I didn't think I was there, so I thought someone this one, and then I wondered that one too. And kind of, I handed it.
Well, we're not, so we're gonna.
I can send you that one if you want.
Yeah, she said.
No. That is, yeah, with every presenter for every webinar. Now, I'll just do that.
What's that?
And then you want to do a webinar.
Hey, when you finished up, you can start heading back to your seats.
There you go.
Yeah, well.
You need to fill some time with your stuff.
I do need a
But I know time is active right now. I'm migrating a ton of stuff here in the next month. So.
So if you'll start to make your way back to your spots, please.
So just the visual representation, kind of like look around the room, look at the large synthesis of all of this, your collective. Look at, we collected data. That could probably go in some algorithms.
And as we were putting it together, and Missy and I have talked about this, we sort of assumed that technology systems we'd see more red and algorithms we'd see more red, because there are some people doing a little bit of coding and there are some people doing like troubleshooting and hardware, software stuff, but as you get into the older grades, it does get a little bit more tricky to cover those things. And as you get into the older grades, you're going to have more specialized classes too that cover that for people who are interested in that.
Yeah. I do want to talk a little bit. I was on the 9 through 12 team, so I only understood like half of the things that group was talking about at any given time. But the 9 through 12 that you're seeing here is part of the everybody curriculum. So everybody should know these things. There is, if you look in the standards that we didn't print into posters, there is a specialized curriculum for 9 through 12 for those students that are maybe going into more cybersecurity and computer science fields. And so those would be more for the specialized classes. These 9 through 12 standards that are embedded in all of these strands are to be embedded in other content areas for all students. The specialized standards, if you wanted to look at those, they were done in collaboration with CTE. Is that right, CTE? And I think that there's going to be some more crossover in talk between those two programs as well. So just a little side note about that.
So what did you like when you were looking at this? What do you wonder about? Are there concerns that have popped up in your head as you're looking at some of this? Let's have just a little bit of a discussion. Anybody willing to share something you liked, a concern that came popping up in your head?
We're doing a lot of it already.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not quite as scary when you start looking at it as it sounds, right?
Yeah, I will say, 3 of us kind of got in a conversation over here just about time. I mean, just making sure the kids really do understand it fully, and it's not just a brief overview and the time it takes to collaborate with teachers and finding that time. and how that sometimes can be a little bit of a hurdle, but
Yeah.
Time's the biggest commodity, isn't it, in our
It is. And remember that this is supposed to be spread throughout all of the subject areas. This isn't just landing on librarian shoulders or tech shoulders, or this is supposed to be something that is spread out throughout the whole process of education. And so, yes, we do see elements that we teach and we can be strong in those. And we can figure out the ways if we need to where the red dots are, where, okay, I see this relates to this or the, but it is supposed to be something that's spread out, not just on our shoulders. I know a lot of time it does get put on our shoulders, but it really wasn't meant to do that. Yeah.
So how is the word getting out to all of the tech people? I mean, to us, obviously we're here, but to every other librarian that isn't here, how is the word getting out that these standards are now here and available?
I know that they've done some mass emailing and letting people know. The next stage is that right now, and I'm not sure if it passed or not, but
With the professional development.
well, the DPI
Yeah.
in this legislative session is getting authorization to issue cybersecurity and computer science credentials. And so they're going to have trainings that they're offered around the state, and they're trying to get the funding where those would be no cost to anybody, where districts will be able to send teachers to get certified in some of these things. That hasn't all been panned out yet, but that's going to be probably a big push of spreading the word about the standards as well.
There have been some of them that have been offered through EduTech.
Yes.
Yeah.
So EduTech's offered some of the coding ones and some of the NYSERC ones from Code.org and NYSERC. Those are just like one component of these cybersecurity standards, and so I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet for the credentialing. They got those classes started before they had authorization at DPI, so there's like this chicken and egg thing. I don't know where that all will land quite yet, because again, we're like at the forefront of it, which is really exciting, but also there's not like a paved road for us quite yet. So we'll get that messy middle figured out. But
And especially as we start to, I mean, as a librarian, I'm always questioning worth, which is sad, but I always am thinking, how am I proving that I'm worth keeping in my school system? And again, I don't want to be a tech teacher, but having some of this knowledge, being able to be at that forefront and part of that conversation, starting that conversation, is a job saver, in my opinion. It's something that you become essential to your district.
yeah, look at all this green.
Yeah.
Look at all that our schools need us to
Yeah.
do that. I would just personally, I would encourage you that when those courses start coming out for some of those cyber credentialing, I would strongly encourage you to do those. The way I was sounding them, there would be maybe like a week-long sort of class or something in the summer or something like that.
Yeah.
So
And there is
encourage
funding
you to do
being
Yeah.
pushed. They want funding for this. It's part of the package. So it would hopefully be something that's going to be free of cost initially. So to jump on that right away would be great. Anything else anything you're wondering about as you're looking, going, do I have to do this?
Yeah.
When this was, in the conversation process, it was a concern that, how are libraries going to fit into the picture? We see very easily how we fit into the picture. Do you feel that administrators see how we fit into the picture? They're going to be hiring computer science teachers is going to be the biggie, I think. And so, are they going to realize
What's the value they already have?
and how we can work together? I guess.
I would say that's a concern for me, I guess, and that's why I'm always speaking, and that's why I was so excited to see so many librarians on the committee to write these standards, because we know it's our work, and I think that having a big voice about that is important. I would say that something that I sort of learned in the development of the standards was that DPI does not dictate how those standards are taught. They don't tell you that this course has to have these standards and this course has to have these standards. It's all local control. So they issue these standards, and it's up to individual school districts to figure out where they fit in. And so I think it's about being a voice in your building about how the role that